What's up, Maniacs? My name is Mex. I'm a wrestling fan, a wrestling enthusiast, a WrestleManiac, if you will. And today we are talking about AEW Dynamite. We had a really good show this week with some great matches on it, and we found out the future of the AEW World Championship, which was really interesting. Wasn't expecting that on the show. So to find out everything that happened, stay tuned. Right here at WrestleManiac UK, I discuss everything that is WWE and AEW. So if this sounds like the place for you, make sure you click the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell too, so that you get notified every time I drop a new video. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into the review. Show kicked off with what is somewhat the blow-off now between Darby Allin and absolute Ricky Starks. I've been waiting for this match for a long time, and when this match came, it didn't disappoint at all. Ricky Starks was really good, really intense this week. You know, we really see him sometimes joking about and taking it a bit easy, laid back, but not this week. He was really intense. He definitely went for it. He matched the usual intensity of Darby Allin, and Darby Allin again was his kind of reckless self in everything he did. Somewhere in the match we had Brian Cage actually coming to kind of be a bit of muscle for Ricky Starks, but the equalizer in Will Hobbs soon came, and Will Hobbs brawled Brian Cage back towards the backstage area, and it was later announced on the night we're actually going to get Will Hobbs versus Brian Cage next week for the FTW Championship. Now, they still haven't said what they're doing with this championship and what it means and where it ranks and who can go after it and all that kind of stuff. But again, Will Hobbs being put in a really good position. Brian Cage, let's see if he holds on to it. It'll be interesting to see if he drops it, and then what Taz will have to say for the future of Brian Cage within that kind of Taz collective. But this match was really good with Ricky Starks. He was selling his lower back for the majority of the match. There was a massive spear that he gave Darby Allin coming in off the ropes, which was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, like in-air spear that he gave Darby Allin. But in the end, Ricky Starks lost. Darby Allin delivered a coffin drop to the lower back area, knocked out Ricky Starks, got the pin and got the win. Next up, we got a segment where Cody came out to address if he was going to accept Brodie Lee's offer of the dog collar match next week on Dynamite for the TNT Championship. And guys, this is how you sell a match. Cody Rhodes came out, he cut a promo, he made it look as if no, I wasn't accepting this match, and then came back to the ring, gave us some more talk and told us, yes, I will be accepting this match. And the minute he had accepted the match, it was as if Brodie Lee was annoyed that he did. And Brodie Lee came storming out of the backstage area. Some Dark Order guys and officials and stuff like that tried to hold him back. Cody and Brodie completely brawling in the ring. It was crazy. Pulled apart so many times, went back at each other so many times. Like, they have instantly given this match a big fight feel. Just with this one segment. It was really, really good. It is going to be very interesting next week. I still believe that Brodie Lee is going to retain. I think they're doing brilliant work with the Dark Order, building the Dark Order. They've kind of jumped past Inner Circle now in terms of like the premier faction on AEW television. You know, they've done really good work since he's now become the TNT champion. And yeah, like I say, I think this is going to continue next week. I don't think Cody's going to pick up the TNT championship again. Definitely not next week anyway. So yeah, I really can't wait to see now what this match is going to look like next week. We had what I think is the first match in these FTR series, giving people the opportunity to take on the tag team champions for the tag team championship in 20-minute matches. This was the first of it. FTR took on SCU, and this was a really, really good match. To be honest, there were so many times where it looked like SCU might actually win this, although we kind of knew they probably weren't gonna win it. You know, they came very close. I remember there was a flurry of like quick pin attempts by Scorpio Sky trying to get one over on either Cash or Dax. Like, he really went for it, Scorpio Sky. And in the end, it took a bit of trickery and a wise old head in Tully Blanchard to help FTR retain these championships. If you watch the match, you know what I mean. Tully held on to Scorpio Sky's leg, making sure that he couldn't kick out when the pin came. Referee didn't see it. Tully threw himself down to the ground afterwards so that the referee wouldn't see him and his involvement, and FTR retained the championships here. Next up, we had Isaiah Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. This was obviously off the back of their little tussle that they had last week, their war of words that they had last week. And this was a really good match. Cassidy, that, you know, is usually part of the Private Party tag team, he really showed that he could go on his own here, that he's got those kind of credentials to be a single star in the future. Very good showing from him. and Chris Jericho, his usual brawler kind of self that he is in this later stage of his career. What I found really interesting is when they got thrown out to the outside, Luther, who has been in the crowd and usually wrestles on Dark, got involved and was kind of dishing out a beating to Chris Jericho, which the Inner Circle put a stop to. But of all people, why Luther that he's now getting involved in this? However, it didn't last long and both men got back in the ring, and eventually Chris Jericho put away Cassidy with the Judas effect. The Inner Circle returns to attacking Luther after the match, and next week I believe we're getting Chris Jericho and Jake Hager taking on Luther and Serpentico. So before I continue with the rest of the happenings on AEW Dynamite last night, guys, if you're enjoying the review, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button, give us a like. It does loads for the channel and I thoroughly appreciate it right here at WrestleManiac UK. So if you haven't already, smash that like button. Next two matches I'll just go through quickly because they never really lasted long. Orange Cassidy took on 10 from Dark Order and Orange Cassidy got the win. This was his first match after going after the TNT Championship last week against Brodie Lee, but Orange Cassidy got back to winning ways. So yeah, Orange Cassidy defeated 10. Britt Baker was back on our screens and back in the wrestling ring. She took on Red Velvet. Red Velvet, another superstar that usually gets a lot of matches on Dark. This was more or less a squash match. Red Velvet didn't get much in and Britt Baker returned to winning ways in the ring. So before I get on to Jon Moxley's match, earlier on in the night it was announced on commentary that there is going to be an AEW World Championship tournament where there'll be 8 competitors, and these competitors are going to face each other to find out who is going to be the #1 contender to the AEW World Championship. They said the final is going to be at Full Gear, which is in November. So I don't know, are they going to have the final and then the person that wins the final also fights again in that night to take on the world champion, whoever that may be at the time? Because right now I don't believe Moxley or whoever the world champion is going to be has a scheduled match at Full Gear. It's going to be interesting to see, does the winner have 2 matches in one night, as well as the other competitors that's going to be in this tournament. I know that Kenny Omega and Rey Fenix have been announced for the tournament, so still a few others to name, but it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to get drawn against who in this tournament, and are we going to see a Kenny Omega win for the tournament and maybe take on the world champion? That is, I guess, what we all want to see. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, now let's see what Moxley got up to on the night. So as we knew before the night, Eddie Kingston was going to pick a competitor of his choosing to take on Moxley for the world championship. And although at first it looked like Rey Fenix and it looked like Penta, and a lot of us thought it was going to be Pac, it was actually The Butcher. The Butcher came out and he had the match against Jon Moxley. And for someone that's only been wrestling for 5 years and found himself in the main event of the TV show AEW Dynamite, The Butcher put on a hell of a performance. He should be really proud of how well he done, and it was a really good match, a typical big man performance. However, there was still a lot of on the floor mat kind of combinations that these guys tried to do, a lot of submission attempts. And despite his best efforts, Jon Moxley got the win in this World Championship match with the same headlock that he applied to Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston went to sleep last week. This time Butcher tapped out. So Moxley stays strong. Eddie Kingston after the match was losing his mind completely. So annoyed that Moxley still managed to retain this championship despite Eddie Kingston picking the competitor. I think it's what we all expected. But yeah, like I said, Butcher, well done, mate. He put on a really, really good showing. Really good showing. So guys, that is my AEW review. I hope you enjoyed it. We had a very, very good show, really showing that they are the dominant force on a Wednesday night. NXT is good, but AEW is just that much better right now. You know, stats don't lie, numbers don't lie, ratings don't lie. AEW are really hitting it out the park, and Full Gear coming up beginning of November. The card is already slowly starting to build up with possibilities of matches we can get. So it's going to be very interesting. We've got a good month or so until that date. So hopefully all of these matches that we're thinking could come together will actually come together. Guys, if you enjoyed today's review, please make sure you smash the like button. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Hit the subscribe button and make sure you click the notification bell so you get notified every time I drop a new video. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.